Alright, this is going to be Quiz 3 Study Guide. Number 1. You are finding the value of x, and you've got a right triangle with a 28-degree angle, a side that's 11, and x is your hypotenuse. So for these first 4 problems here, at least first 4, you're going to be using sine, cosine, and tangent. So on your study guide, on your quiz tomorrow, make sure you have the acronym SOHCAHTOA written on there. So in this case, you've got this 28-degree angle. You're working with the adjacent side and the hypotenuse. Adjacent and hypotenuse is cosine. So your equation is going to be cosine 28 equals the adjacent side, which is 11, over the hypotenuse, which is x. You can then multiply both sides by x. So x times cosine 28 equals 11, and then you can divide both sides by cosine 28. So your x will be equal to 12.5. Number 2. $20-degree angle. Hypotenuse is 18. The opposite side is x. So you name your sides. Here's your hypotenuse. The x is your opposite. And when you are working with opposite and hypotenuse, that is sine. So sine of 20 equals the opposite side over the hypotenuse. Now you can multiply both sides by 18.
Good morning, teachers. You are loved and appreciated. Please check your email for the list of ESOL students to come to 23107. Thank you.
6.2 is equal to x. Number 3. 36-degree angle. Hypotenuse is 10. Adjacent side is x. When you're working with adjacent and hypotenuse, adjacent and hypotenuse is cosine. So cosine of 36 equals the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. And again, here you can multiply both sides by 10. Your 10s on the right will cancel. 10 times 36 cosine 8.1 is equal to x. Number 4, you've got a 35-degree angle and the hypotenuse is x. The opposite side is 18. Opposite and hypotenuse. Sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. So your equation here is sine of 35 equals the opposite side over the hypotenuse. You can multiply both sides by x. X is on the right, cancel. Now, you've got x times sine 35 equals 18. So you'll divide both sides by sine 35 to isolate the x. So your x will be equal to 31.4. All right, number 5. The area of a square garden is 242. How long is the diagonal? So here's the picture you've got. You've got a square garden, which means all the sides are the same. All these angles are 90s. And you need the length of the diagonal. There's the diagonal. In red, there's your diagonal. You're told that the area equals 242. And the formula for the area of a square is that area equals a side squared. So if 242 equals A and side squared equals A, you can set the 242 equal to the side squared. So if 242 equals a side squared, you can square root both of these. And 15.6 is equal to one of the sides. So this is 15.6 and this is 15.6. Now if you take a square and you cut it in half with the diagonal, you create a 45, 45, 90. And your rules from special right triangles stated that the hypotenuse was equal to a side times the square root of 2. So this diagonal right here, the diagonal is going to be equal to 15.6 times the square root of 2. So the diagonal equals 22. Number 6. The length of the hypotenuse of a 30, 60, 90 is 4. So 30, 60, 90, that's another special right triangle. 30, 60, and your 90. The hypotenuse is 4. Alright, the rules from special right triangles stated that the short leg was half the hypotenuse. So in this triangle, this short leg is going to be 2. And the long leg is going to be equal to 2 times the square root of 3, which is 3.5. The question is to find the perimeter of the triangle. So based on the hypotenuse, you could find the short leg and the long leg, and then you're just going to add those 3 together. So the perimeter is equal to the 3.5 plus the 2 plus the 4. So the perimeter here equals 9.5. Okay, number 7 says tan of something is equal to 86. Tan of something equals 86. The way you solve this, or the way you fill in this blank, is you type 86. What you need to do for this is you need to go tan -1 of 86. And the way you do that in these calculators is you type in the 86, the second button and the tangent button, because behind the tangent you see tan to the -1. So if you go 86 second tan equals, this is 89.3. Alright, so the calculator function is 86 and then second and then tan. Type in 86, push the second button, hit tan, and then hit the equals button. Number 8. Triangle XYZ. Sides are 3, 5, and the square root of 34. You're asked to write the tangent ratios for y and z. So you need tan for y and z. Back to your acronym. Alright, tangent equals opposite over adjacent. Here it is. That's the TOA portion of your acronym. So we're going to say tan of y is equal to, here's your angle y. In relation to angle y, 3 is its opposite side, and the 5 is its adjacent side. So tangent of y equals 3/5. Now you got to write your tangent for z. Okay, tangent is still equal to opposite over adjacent, but now we're looking at this angle z. So the side that is opposite of z is the 5, and adjacent to z is the 3. So those are your tan ratios for angle y and z. Number 9. Viola drives 170 meters up a hill and makes an angle of 6 degrees with the horizon. Here's your diagram. She's going 170 meters up the hill and making a 6-degree angle with the horizon. So we're going to turn this into a right triangle. To the nearest tenth of a meter, what horizontal distance has she covered? So we're looking for this distance right here. The horizontal distance. So in relation to this angle, this 6-degree angle, we've got the hypotenuse and adjacent side. Adjacent and hypotenuse is cosine. So our equation is cosine of 6 equals the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. So you can multiply both sides by 170, and 170 times cosine 6, 169.1 is equal to your h. Number 10, a piece of art is in the shape of an equilateral triangle. Equilateral triangle means that all the sides are the same. With sides 13 inches, so 13 inches. Find the area of the piece of art. Round your answer to the nearest tenth. You need the area of this triangle. Area of a triangle is equal to 0.5 times the base times the height. If all these sides are the same, then this base down here is also 13 inches. So the area is going to be equal to 0.5 times the base, which is 13, times, you need to find the height. Now, in an equilateral triangle, if all the sides are the same, all the angles are the same. If all the angles are the same, they all equal 60 degrees. Now, the altitude of a triangle, which is this dimension right here, vertex to opposite side and intersects at 90. The altitude of a triangle is the same thing as the height of a triangle. So you need this dimension right here. What that dimension represents is the long leg of a now 30, 60, 90 right triangle. This 30, 60, 90 right triangle has a hypotenuse that's 13. So here's the triangle we're looking at, this yellow one. Come on, yellow. We've broken it down to this yellow triangle, which is a 30, 60, 90 right triangle with a hypotenuse of 13. Short leg is half of the hypotenuse. So this short leg is 6.5. The long leg in a 30, 60, 90 is equal to the short leg times the square root of 3. So your h is equal to 6.5 times the square root of 3. So in your calculator, you take 6.5 and you multiply it by the square root of 3. And your height is 11.3. So now the area of this triangle is going to be equal to, the 11.3 is still sitting in your calculator, and in multiplication order doesn't matter. So just push the times button, 13, and then times 0.5. And the area is 73.2. Number 11. You've got a 20-degree angle, a side that's x units long, and a side that's 9 units long. So we are back to trig ratios. And in relation to this 20-degree angle, we are working with the opposite side and the adjacent side. Opposite and adjacent is tangent. So our equation is tangent of 20 equals the opposite side over the adjacent side. Going to multiply both sides by x. These x's cancel. So x times tan 20 equals 9. And then you can divide both sides by tan 20. So your side x is equal to 24.7. Number 12 is a special right triangle. It's got a 30-degree angle. If it's got a 30-degree angle and it's a right triangle, then it's a 30, 60, 90. You're given the long leg. The short leg, which is your x in this problem, is going to be equal to long leg, which is 7 divided by the square root of 3. So your 7 divided by square root of 3 is 4. So there's the length of the short leg, which was side x. Number 13 right next to it is a 45, 45, 90 right triangle, which is another special right triangle. And here's your variable now, and you're given the hypotenuse. In a 45, 45, 90 triangle, the legs are congruent to each other, and they are equal to the hypotenuse divided by the square root of 2. So that's just 5 divided by 2 square root, which is 3.5. Number 14. Is another 45, 45, 90 right triangle. Find the lengths of the missing sides. So we've got an x, we've got a y, and one side is 7. In a 45, 45, 90, you've got two congruent angles, so you get two congruent sides. The legs in this triangle are congruent. So one leg is 7, the other leg is 7. It's a special right triangle, so the hypotenuse is equal to one of the legs times the square root of 2. So your x is equal to 9.9. Number 15. Is a 30, 60, 90 right triangle. Again, another special right triangle. And you are given this leg of 17. The leg that is opposite the 30-degree angle is the short leg. The other leg is your long leg, and the side across from the 90 is the hypotenuse. So we said that the rules in this case are that the long leg equals the short leg times the square root of 3. So your x in this case will be equal to 17 times the square root of 3, which is 29.4. And the hypotenuse is always twice the length of the short leg, so your y is equal to 17 times 2, which is 34. All right, number 16, last one. Triangle ABC. Side lengths of 3, 4, 5. Write the ratios for sine of A and cosine of A. Here's our angle A. In relation to angle A, the 3 is opposite, the 4 is adjacent, and the 5 is the hypotenuse. So sine of A, sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. So the sine equals 3 over 5. Cosine of A, cosine equals adjacent over hypotenuse. We're still working with the same angle. So adjacent, which is 4, over hypotenuse, which is 5. There's your sine of angle A and your cosine of angle A. And then go ahead and divide them if needed. This is 0.8 and this is 0.6. Any questions? Yes.